Kyle in Wales. How are you doing? Repeat caller from, I think it was 3 weeks ago. Kyle?
Hello?
Hey, Kyle, how are you?
I'm not too bad. It's not Kyle. If you remember me from a couple of weeks ago, it's Carl. We had a conversation.
Sorry, I remembered your call.
I'm not going to talk about the V word.
Okay. But you wanted to talk about God, basically. Which we touched on
I'm looking for some help.
Okay, yeah. How can we help?
Oh, sorry. It's the delay. I do apologize if I keep sounding like I'm speaking over you. I do apologize. Apology is really my main thing I want to speak to you about, because I looked back over the footage last week and I realized how much of a prat I was a little bit towards the end and how obnoxious I was getting. So I want to apologize. I did want to apologize to Eric as well, but he's not here today. But Dan, I'm a big fan of yours, my friend. Massive fan of yours. I don't want to steal any glory from Anna, but I'm a massive fan of both shows as well. And I do want to talk about God, but I mainly just want to ask you guys some questions, because I am, from the last phone call, I am looking into everything you told me about, trying to wrap my brains around some things, and I'm hitting a few roadblocks. Would it be okay to ask you both some questions about God?
Well, I think that's probably going to be part of the conversation.
Go for it.
I just wanted permission first. So I'm stuck on a few things. One is mainly the definition of God. Could I ask you guys what your definition of God is?
I don't have one.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an interesting question to ask us, actually, because we haven't exactly been presented with a God definition that, I mean, it'd
be sort of like, can you define the characteristics of the antagonist? And I'd be like, okay, well, in what book? Can you define what a God is?
Yeah.
In what religion?
Just the word God. Just the word God.
God is an English word that is used in the singular generally to refer to a divine creator being that is maximally powerful, at least in my personal experience.
I would say God, usually in at least the United States, is usually referred to Yahweh, which is a specific deity within the Jewish
Just 1 second. Excuse me, I can't use it. I'm sorry, it's somebody talking in the background.
Sure.
Told him to shut up.
Other
sorry,
people,
can you repeat
quiet.
what the last bit?
Yeah, I was just saying, when I hear God, usually it's within the context of the Judaism and Christianity, and that it's a specific deity referred to as colloquially as Yahweh in some places, and
or Jesus,
or right.
You guys look at the subjective term of God, yeah?
The subjective term?
The subjective definition.
That's kind of how all words work, generally.
Yeah.
All right, but I see what you're saying. I was just looking for a word of God that would sort of sum them up. I have one. Can I give you what I wrote it down based on a couple of comments that I was looking outside of the dictionaries, because the dictionary has a load of definitions, and it's like, okay, when I rang last time, they were trying to talk about different definitions of God, but which wasn't my definition of God. I mean, there's some in there that I do agree with and comes along the line. But can I just give you a definition and tell me what you think of this definition of God?
Okay,
That'd
sure.
Is this the definition of a God you believe in? Or
it is a definition. My God has a different definition, but let me read it and then see what you think, and maybe you can help me see what I'm going wrong. Yeah. So God, a descriptive term given to a being, entity, or object with which characteristics represent great power and or influence to the satisfaction of the believer.
So there's that in the modern era that probably satisfies most ideas about God in the English-speaking world, at least as far as I'm aware of them. Because there's people that believe in gods that aren't super powerful, but
or don't satisfy really anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be all right. In a loose way, that would be my objective terminology of a God. God is a descriptive word that we give to something, like I said, a being, entity, or object in which the characteristics represent great power and or influence to the satisfaction of the believer. So it sort of like embodies everybody's sort of like belief in what a God is.
I think that's a broad way of describing the usage of the word God that probably does satisfy most of the people that you would talk to, at least in the English-speaking world, about God. I'm not sure that that any individual subject can provide an objective definition of a word, because I don't think they.
I understand and agree. But what I'm saying is, if I was to try and use a word to describe God to someone that had all these different, didn't know God and had all these different terminologies of God, and was thinking, wait a minute, which one is God? And I say, well, we don't know. But if God is just a word that we use to describe something. Because I'm met with this one argument. When I, like, as you know from last week, I said, I class the sun as my God. Got my reasons for it. It fits my definition of what a God is, which is, the most powerful object being whatever you want to call it. There's some argument on that, of course, but it's the most powerful thing in our system. And as far as I'm aware, and as far as knowledge that I'm aware of, it is, without it, life as we know it wouldn't exist. It was there at the beginning of life as we know it, and would more likely be there at the end of life as we know, but I can't know that.
Sure.
I believe, based on the information I've researched, that the sun is responsible for life as we know it on this planet.
Responsible is an interesting word, but I would agree to the word necessary.
Okay, yes. So what I'm saying is, even though I believe in evolution and things, we needed obviously the heat and the light, and obviously for
and
plants
radiation.
and oxygen.
Yeah.
We needed all that stuff for it first. I mean, I still believe, like, there's lots of things in religion, such as Christianity and these other religions that, lead me to believe that all these religions started off with the base idea. But I can't prove that. I just believe it, because I've read it, and most of it doesn't make sense. I don't believe fully in the Bible.
So hold on here real quick, Carl, because you've hit on a couple of things. So one, there's my understanding is that there's a lot of particularly early religions that began based around a worship of at least in part, the sun, or there was a sun god, right? Assigning an anthropomorphized mystical being to various.
You can continue, but I also believe other religions today, like Christianity, it was also started off there. But like I said, it's just a belief on my.
Possibly.
And I read the Bible.
Yeah, which is probably impossibly for the people that are annoyed at home. Because Bring on the comments and the emails. President at hit me with it. Or Jamie at will be up probably later this afternoon. But my question is sort of, so we touched on the God that you believe in sort of briefly last week before we got off on other topics, which is you were saying that the sun satisfies your definition of a God, like the star soul at the center of our system. So can you, because that doesn't, I don't think, satisfy necessarily the definition that's broad that you gave us at the beginning of this call. Can you tell us what your definition of a God is?
Well, my definition of a God, on, like I said, the broad sense is what I described. A powerful being and the object. Okay. The characteristics representing great power, influence, satisfaction of the believer. But my personal definition, that some people believe in omnipresent and things like that. To me, it's a crazy notion, but like I said, it's my personal belief on that. For my definition of God that I give, I decided that I needed to give a definition to form an opinion. That's just something I believe. I believe everybody should, but I'd like to touch on that in a moment. But so I decided, right, so what was my definition of God? And so I said, it has to be a powerful, much more powerful than me, something I can't fathom. Like the sun fitted that. I didn't straight go to the sun. I wasn't trying to fit to the sun. I had this.
I'm really curious, because I'm wondering why you have a different definition for your personal belief in God, and then a different definition for God that you're using for other things. Like, for example, and this is just a curiosity to me, because when I think of a car, for example, I don't know, I don't say in one sense, a car is a thing that has an engine in it that goes vroom, and then I have a personal definition that says, well, it's this really cool speedy thing. I don't know. To me, it seems like I would just use the definition of car that everybody else uses. Why do you feel the need to have two different definitions of God to work with? Why not just use the ones that...
I don't.
Okay.
I don't have a need to. All I was doing was I was trying to find a definition that sums up everybody's sort of description of what a God is in one, just to be fair and understanding. It'll lead on to, I probably said it to lead on to the next part that I'll get into in a moment. It's just that to finish what I was saying, the sun fits all my definitions of what a God would be. So to me, it's a god. I mean,
Okay.
it's powerful. I need it to sustain it. So what I'm saying is, this isn't your definition of a god. Yeah,
Okay.
that wouldn't.
Yeah, but
fit your
we're
definition
talking about your
because you don't-
definition, right? Because we don't necessarily, or at least
Well,
I
also,
don't necessarily have one.
I'm not even sure that you can have one definition that describes every form possible of what people have called God. I've heard people say,
No,
No,
that's
but
what I'm
he's-
saying. I know you can't.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you can't. What I was trying to do was just, say
Get
that
as close as possible.
Yeah.
you get as close as, you got to hit the nail on the
Yeah.
head. You get as close as possible.
I've gotten
But,
as close as
to me-
possible to describing your goal of getting as close as possible
There you go.
to having a definition that's as close as possible to describing everyone's definition of God. So,
the
My
reason
question
I
is,
did that
are there
because
other
I wa-
things that meet your definition of a God?
other than being powerful?
Other than,
and
well, no. Other
being-
than the star soul, right? The sun. What else is a God, if anything, in your mind?
I don't understand the question, sorry.
Do you believe in any other gods besides the sun?
Not for me, no. Nothing else
Okay.
fits my definition.
So is that in part, just as a quick side question, do you believe that there can only be one?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. So it's not a
The truthful answer is I
Highlander
don't know.
situation.
Okay.
Okay, that's cool. So when you say that the sun is powerful, do you believe that the sun has agency? Like, can the sun make a decision about what it does?
I don't know.
Okay. Wait, so is it...
He's not coming to talk about the sun, right?
Well,
he's
well,
coming to talk to us about his definition of God and whether we think it's...
Well, he believes that the sun, he describes the sun as a god. So I'm wondering what effect this has in terms of... Like, is there a part of this that plays into a religion? Do you have...
he's saying that people use the definition. The definition could be possible to use the sun as
No, he
God.
describes the sun as God.
No, but
I do describe the God. I do believe the sun is my God as well because it fits my definition. The whole purpose of this is
I went
I
through
want to
that.
get to the point. The thing I'm stuck with is, for me, you would like me to prove a God to, yes? You'd like to prove a
Well,
God
I'd
exists.
like to...
Or anybody call this. You'd like.
I believe in the
evidence
existence
a
of
God.
the sun. I'm
How
just
can I
now
give
curious about
someone-
why you describe it that way.
All right, could I finish what I was talking about first?
Yes,
and then we go
please.
back to that because
Yeah.
it's stuck repeating in my head and I can't concentrate on.
Yeah.
everything.
Tell me what you were
I
gonna say.
have a slight form of autism. Right, so what I'd like to know is how can you prove a God or give evidence for God to somebody who doesn't have a definition of what God is? It's unprovable to
Which
you. You
God?
don't even have the definition.
So it's
Any
sort of
God.
like saying, how can I give, if your question is, how can you demonstrate the truth of a proposition when there isn't a proposition? The answer is you can't. But if your question is, how can I demonstrate the existence of X, then it depends on what X is and you can provide evidence for it. The fact that I don't have one idea of what a God is doesn't prevent people from coming to me and trying to give evidence for Jesus or Ra or Thor, even if you don't use a specific word that there isn't a single specific definition for in the English-speaking world. So I don't want to get too caught up on the word God rather than the concepts that are...
But what does the word atheism mean then? Because I'm stuck on that.
It means...
That confused me from what you just said.
So the word atheist is derived from Greek, right? So it means lack of a belief in a god or gods, right? So I've run into this before. There was a caller that was saying that, pagans believe trees are God. You believe in trees, therefore you believe in a god, right? And I still describe myself as an atheist, one, because I am unaware of any pagans that describe trees as a god, but you believe that the sun is a god, right? Like that it is your God, I think is the phrase that you used, and I believe that it exists, and I would still call myself an atheist because the word atheist is derived from without, and theist, which relates to a theology. So I don't have a belief that's based on any sort of theology. So when you ask me what atheist means, it means that I don't have a belief specifically, in a god or gods, but in a broader context, in anything that would qualify as a theology.
Okay, but you mentioned about trees, and I get your point on trees.
We should look at them.
I think, well, yeah, of course, I get your point on trees. I mean, it's a tree. You get breath and all that, but obviously the tree has a next step up that we can understand. For example, a tree wouldn't be there without the sun or other elements that are needed to grow a tree.
Sure.
So the next step up from that would be there. I don't know the next step up from a sun. I understand how a sun is created and born,
a galaxy,
but I don't. Yeah, but as I'm saying, I don't understand it. I have no understanding of where it came from. How, that sort of thing. I don't. So my knowledge stops there. So I can't believe in something beyond that. So where the sun is the end of it for me. So that then constitutes something powerful that we rely on. That is the creator of everything.
So
that would fall into the category. I haven't finished talking yet, my friend.
All right.
I don't mean to be rude. I didn't mean that to sound rude. I know that sounded rude. I didn't mean that. I just meant that I would like to finish what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
So,
come down to it.
So carrying on with that, that fits all the realms of what a God be. A powerful being. It's the creator of life as we know it. It sustains life as we know it. I still haven't finished. And then, it's been here since the beginning of time. It'll be
so now I have to jump in because you've thrown the word being in there, which wasn't there before. But also, I don't see it as most powerful because there are larger, stronger stars.
What it really meant was...
Hal, do you know that there are bigger stars?
I've viewed the bigger stars, yes.
Yeah. So those are more powerful than the one at the center of our universe.
But
our solar system.
They have no part play, as far as I'm aware, in the creation of our species, the creation of our world.
So to be clear to you, it's not just about maximally great or super strong.
No.
Sorry, I've forgotten the specific language. It revolves specifically around our species. Is the way you use the word God.
It's easy to sit there and say for someone who can't prove like their terminology of God. I think things like Christians that were duped. That's my personal belief. I believe they were duped into believing in something that can't be proved.
But this doesn't relate to the sun.
Say something like, you can't prove that God. As far as I'm aware, and as far as you're aware, no one's ever proved.
Well, so hold on, Carl, hold on, because this is a separate subject entirely. I mean, I don't think that you just.
I don't understand how it's a separate subject.
So I don't think that you describe yourself as a Christian, given that you don't describe Christ as God.
I do believe in the teachers of Yeshua, but
So I'm interested in talking about what you believe in terms of a God. So you specifically, because there isn't a Christian in this conversation to talk about what they believe. So in terms of you not understanding about something that is, quote, more powerful than the sun is formed through one of the four...
system. I did say in our system.
Yeah, in our system. So gravity.
Being in our system.
Gravity is the only reason that the sun or the earth or is one of the four reasons that anything that we would call existent can exist at all. So wouldn't that be a God?
I looked into gravity, and
it's a good thing to look into.
I didn't understand it enough, and the people I was looking into said they didn't fully understand gravity either. And there's so many people saying different things, and it gets confusing. So I find it difficult to go there. I understand what I understand from the world and from what I know about the sun and everything. Like I said, my descriptors. Gravity didn't fit into it. I can't remember where it didn't fit in. You put me on the spot, and I will look into that, and I'll get an answer for you maybe in a month or two time if you allow me to call back. I will look into it just like I did before. So yeah, you raise a point, and I will look into that because, like I said, I'm not a theist in the regular terms where I'm stubborn in my beliefs, just like Mark was before. I'm open to questions. I'm open to change. I will change my beliefs if someone proves me something different or wrong. The only thing I don't understand is how to go about proving something to somebody who has no definition on it. I mean, I at least hope you'd have a definition.
The short answer is, Colin, you have to give us the definition.
Yeah.
Give us the definition, and we'll work with you, man, and we'll tell you yes or no whether we think that's true.
So I think that...
So like I said, the definition I gave him then was the most powerful, I use the word being, but know what I mean by being is it's just because I can't feel the word. The object being...
Thing. You can use the word thing.
Thing, yeah, okay, I'll use the word thing. Thank you, Jimmy. So the most powerful thing in the system, as I know it, is the sun. I don't know anything more powerful, and the things that people may suggest are more powerful, I don't fully understand yet.
So so let me ask a question real quick, because is the word God refer to something that is objectively God? Because you've included in your definition, or at least implicitly... it's necessary for you to understand it.
Well, it's necessary for anybody to understand anything they believe in. Otherwise,
No. It's necessary for you
I don't get
to.
it.
So you, right? So
if you don't understand it, how can you believe in it? That sounds ridiculous.
you can believe
Well, I mean,
in
I'm
the
assuming you
existence
said
of a
you didn't-
thing up to the level of your understanding, but if you don't believe that, if you do not understand how gravity
Right.
is necessarily, as you've said, a level up when you're talking about trees to the
I
sun,
believe gravity to be
then a
necessary,
star.
but
Yes, but then why isn't it a god?
why is gravity not a god?
Yeah.
Because I thought
It created
my
the sun.
understanding Gravity is formed by mass. Yeah.
Gravity is a property that affects mass.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying you're saying gravity created the sun, but I think
Yes.
there's many elements that created the sun, and I'm not talking about what the sun's creator is. I'm talking about the sun created us. What created the sun and everything would be something that I don't fully understand. And all right, you can go back, but I can't because I don't understand it, and not many people do. We're still pushing those boundaries at the moment, I believe.
Yeah. So hold on, Carl. My question is, in terms of what you call a god, why do you stop at the sun rather than assign the word God to something that you can understand at least formed the sun, but not fully understand? Gravity is more powerful than the sun in the terms that you've given. Why don't you call it a god rather than the sun?
Oh, okay, I'll get to it in a brief way. Gravity, along with other things like nebulas and elements and things that have formed the sun. Yes.
Well, no. All of the other things you've just described are the result as well of gravity, or at least the four fundamental forces of our universe.
So, what is gravity?
So, gravity is a property of mass. Is a property of the universe that affects mass.
Affects. Like I said, I don't understand it.
It's the force of attraction between objects based on their mass.
So, objects are needed to create gravity. Yes.
No.
So, without no objects, could there be gravity?
I believe so because I think it's a property of space, but
but
I believe that we might now be bumping up on the limits of understanding based on cosmology.
You keep using the word believe. You keep using the word believe. Do you know or believe? Which one?
Define know in terms of level of confidence, because my level of confidence at this point is low as far as whether the property mass is a property of space or purely of matter. I believe actually. I think the case can strongly be made that it is a property of space, given research into dark matter. However, at that point, we are at the very, very edge of my understanding, and we still haven't gotten to the point, which is why is the word.
Why are we talking about it? What I'm saying is, why are we talking about it if you don't understand it?
Okay, understanding is not binary. When you name, you should care because it answers your question.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. So let me walk you through how it answers your question.
You're telling me that
let me walk you through and explain how it answers your question, which is this level of debate is not really Dan's favorite thing. So sorry, and eventually we'll move on to the next one. But let me walk you through how what I mean when I say understanding is not binary. Explains your question. In the same way that I can't say I understand math.
Yeah, Jimmy, I didn't say that. You just accused me of saying
all right.
that.
So then that is what I was trying to say. When I said understanding is not binary, what is it that you were asking? Because you said, why are we talking about it if you don't understand it, is the words that I was responding to.
Yes.
Is there some other set of words you wanted me to respond to?
Yeah, I don't understand what you mean when you say understanding is not binary. Could you explain that to me?
Yes, I can. So I have what I would describe as an understanding of math, and I also have a complete inability to do integral calculus. Mm-hmm. Is it false for me to say that I understand math?
I don't know.
Right, because the word understand, when it's applied that way, is applied broadly and not in the specific sense. So saying, do you understand gravity? I can say yes, but I think that Neil deGrasse Tyson has a better understanding of it than I do. And if we can refer to better or worse understanding of something, then it's not yes or no.
Yeah, I think the question that was led into, if we look at the context of it, was I was asking, do you need something for gravity? Because you said gravity is between objects of mass, yes?
Yeah.
And I said, if there's no objects of mass, then could there be gravity? You said, yes, I believe so. And I asked, what do you mean by believe so?
I don't know. I would start with maybe not. I think probably, because there's probably something with the effect of dark matter. However, that sounds like the beginning of a fantastic set of questions that I'm going to Google in order to learn more about physics.
Okay, well, that's enough. I think you've given me a question or two to look at. And
okay, so I'd like to get back to why you call the Son a God and what role that plays in your life.
Well, it plays a role in my life in terminology of, I understand that is, the creator. I don't believe it's the creator of the building blocks. I believe... Yeah, that it's
necessary for the existence of life.
But it's necessary for the existence of life.
Do you pray to the sun? Like, what form does it play in your regular life?
It's more of a respect thing than anything. It's more of a respect than anything for it. I don't think a God has to be prayed to or anything like that. And I don't know.
Is this a part of any religion, personal or otherwise?
It's been part of loads of previous religions, yes, but recently...
So I'm getting promptings from my producer to sort of move on with this call. I think that, as I've suggested to other callers, that we could move this discussion to Reddit, and I think that if you call back, when Eric is hosting as well, that he'll probably have some thoughts that are slightly different than mine. Thank you for calling in, Carl. I think this was a good discussion. And,
well, what I do is, in the next call, I'll ask the question I asked last time. So
you're good. Is it possible for us to find you on the Reddit? Can you come to the Talk Heathen Reddit and we'll have the discussion there? Or even the ACA Discord would probably be a good place as well.
I would love to. I prefer to do it like this. I wouldn't mind ringing back.
Right. There's no reason why you can't do both. I'll ask you to consider maybe going on those, both. And I'm sure that Eric will take your call around the corner. But I really got to move on. We're short on time.
Okay. Could I just ask you permission for one thing? It's not do talk. As in, I would like to make a piece on this. Use this footage just between us, just to talk over and make another YouTube thing. Would you guys be okay with that? Me doing that?
So the content of Talk Heathen is owned by the Atheist Community of Austin and retains those rights. All rights reserved, I believe. So certainly fair use is a thing. Yeah. But
I still like to ask you permission. You personally,
I can't give you that permission.
You're okay with it?
But yeah.
Okay, you can't give your own permission, then that's fair enough. But
all right. So I'll talk to you in future. Thanks for calling in, Carl.